Hi, I'm Chef Jonathan Collins, and as a professional chef, I'm always on the lookout for high-quality ingredients produced by people I can trust. Food safety, responsible animal care, and traceability are important to my guests, family, and friends, and an integral part of my menu planning. Verified Canadian pork is locally farmed, federally approved, and nationally distributed by Canadian farmers and processors who take a great deal of pride in the food they bring to the world's table. Pork collar is well marbled and full of flavor, but it requires time to develop. You can see the incredible texture of this beautiful piece of meat. And for this dish, a braised pork ragu with fresh pasta, this is perfect. The first thing I'm going to do is heat up my pan. I'm going to use a heavy bottom pan so I get a really good sear. Bring that up to medium-high temperature. Using a good extra virgin olive oil gives the dish a lot of flavor. Braising uses a small amount of liquid over a long period of time, covered. So I'm just going to rub down this with a little bit of that olive oil, and it'll allow all the salt and pepper to stick so I can get really nice seasoning. During braising, the tissues break down and become tender. All that connective tissue melts away, and the beauty of making this ragu with the collar in it is all of that flavor is captured by the sauce. Make sure to saute all sides of the collar to ensure that flavor development in the bottom of the pan happens, and so you get a really nice crisp crust on the outside. While the pork collar crisps up, I'm going to prepare a flavor base using carrot, celery, and onion, but I'm also going to add leek and garlic, and then I've got some beautiful aromatics with the use of fresh thyme and rosemary. It's important to have equal parts of the mirepoix. Remove the root end and the tip. Slice the carrot lengthways, then quarter the carrot, and then nice 2 to 3 millimeter slices. This makes it bite-size, and it'll bring great flavor to the sauce, but at the same time, makes it really pleasant vegetable to eat. Split the ribs of celery down the center, and again, 2 to 3 millimeter slices. This is perfect for soups and stews as well. The leek, I'm going to remove the root tip, and then remove the bitter green from the top as well. This isn't good to consume, but it's nice for a stock. And then I'm just going to slice it in half, and then in half again. The leek is so fragrant. So these are quarters. It's important to give these a good rinse. I've rinsed these off, but they're often grown in sandy or clay loam soils, and that gets in there. And again, 2 to 3 millimeter slices. Remove the tip and the root from the onion, slice in half. Just take the outer layer off. A nice fresh onion will only need 1 layer removed, and then divide it evenly, 4 slices on this size of onion. And again, that 2 to 3 millimeter wide slice, that makes it bite size. And there we have equal portions of carrot, celery, leek, and onion. With my flavor base ready, I want to check and make sure that this collar is ready to turn. After browning all sides, I'm ready to remove the pork collar. I want you to see this color. Absolutely spectacular. All of that flavor development is now inside that pan and will ultimately be in the sauce. I'm going to start putting in some of these veg. Careful as you put them in. All of these beautiful vegetables, the moment they hit that pan, they start to become fragrant. And of course, any of that flavor that's developed on the bottom of the pan now is starting to come up off. Just going to take and slice this head of garlic in half. And set that in. It's no problem going in full like that. It'll roast over time, mellowing those beautiful flavors. And then I'm just going to put 3 sprigs of fresh rosemary, and that way I'll get all of the essential oils from the rosemary, but I won't have any unpleasant texture in terms of the size of the leaves. I'm just going to take and strip off a couple sprigs of thyme, pulling the ends. It's this beautiful, fragrant thyme. Now that's ready to go back onto the stove. I'll saute that until it's nice and tender and golden brown, finish developing that flavor, and then deglaze it with wine. Now that all those flavors are fully developed and I've got that beautiful caramelized color, I'm going to put some red wine in. Now I'll deglaze with red wine. When I do, most of, if not all, the alcohol will be gone, but I'm going to get that character from the oak aging and from the development of flavor that happens with time. With the red wine almost completely dry now and reduced inside the pan, I'm going to take and add some really nice seeded and peeled Roma tomatoes. Stir that in. Then I've got some of my own jarred tomato sauce. You can buy this, but this will give it a lot of richness and some acidity too to help balance out the fat. And you can see, I mean, I wish you could smell this. It smells so incredible. So all of those flavors are going to come together. Now lastly, I'll take the roast and gently set that inside there. And you can imagine that covered up, braised for a couple hours. This is going to make the most incredible pasta sauce. After braising for over 2 hours at low temperature, this pork shoulder is ready. It smells incredible. I'm just going to gently pull it out of the sauce. Oh, if I can, it's literally falling apart. Look at that. And set it on my board. I can begin by just shredding the pork with a couple forks, but if I take the time to slice about 1-inch pieces, it'll make certain that each piece is bite-sized. Look at that. Such incredible fragrance, and all of that beautiful fat has melted away. Now that I have the slice, I just take and use the forks and just pull that apart. With my fresh pasta nicely rested, I want to prep the water for it. I've got a large stock pot. It's important to have a very large amount of water compared to the pasta, and to make sure that you season it. So lots of salt in there to the point that it tastes of salt. And it should be a rolling boil. So I've got the lid on and it's ready to go. Now back to the pasta. So with it well rested, it's now, I just need just a tiny little bit of flour to make sure that it doesn't stick. And I could roll this out by hand, but with using the pasta machine, I can get really great results in a short period of time. So I'm going to turn this around and begin the process of gradually getting the pasta to the point where it's just about transparent. Once I do those sheets, I can then run it through the pasta maker and get the perfect size dough for whatever pasta dish I want to prepare. With a good rolling boil, I can gently put this fresh pasta in, and it'll be ready when it floats to the top. With the pasta freshly cooked, look at that. That beautiful, unmistakable texture. I'm just gonna drizzle it with a tiny bit of extra virgin olive oil. And I'm gonna give this a little toss. Have a look at this incredible finish. Look at that beautiful braised ragu. I'll put these two together, a couple cloves of that roasted garlic, and maybe a fresh little hint of cheese, and this will be ready to go to the table.